Well, this whole presentation is based on a single item that I recently obtained, this cover. This is a cover sent in May of 1920 from a town called Pogradec. Currently, it's a town in Albania, sent to another Albanian town, Korytsa, also spelled a number of different ways. The Greeks call it Korytsa. But what attracted me to this cover was the town Pogradec. You may recall when in my presentation about Macedonia, I had a map that showed the traditional geographical boundaries of what is considered Macedonia going back to ancient times. And I explained that after the Balkan War in 1913, that territory, which had been all Turkish, was divided between a number of different nation states. So it went, the southern part went to Greece, most of the northern part to Serbia, the northeastern corner to Bulgaria, and a very small part, just a sliver of land, became part of Albania. Well, this town, Pogradec, is the main town of the Albanian area. So now I have a piece of postal history from this Macedonian town on the south shores of Lake Ohrid that became part of Albania. But you may ask, okay, why does it have French stamps? And this brings me to the story of something called the Republic of Korytsa, a briefly existing autonomous region under French military protection. Started during World War I, 1916, and the French finally departed in 1920, just after that cover was sent. I suspect that as the French were about to leave, people made a whole lot of philatelic covers, just in time so they could get the cancellation showing that the territoire de Pogradec just before the French finally departed. So what was the Republic of Korytsa? This map has a lot of information, so I'm going to go over it step by step. The black lines are current international boundaries of the countries involved here. We have Albania, and you see how the boundary goes down and it cuts right through this lake. This is Lake Ohrid. Pogradec is a town right on the south shore there. Then the boundary goes over here, cuts through another lake, Lake Prespa. And down here, this is the border between Albania and Greece. And here we are out at the Adriatic. The boundary between Albania and Montenegro also goes through a lake, Lake Shkodër. They like to cut through these lakes and share them between different countries, it seems. I have a dotted line here. This territory, this is Northern Epirus. This was a highly contested territory after the Balkan War. A lot of Greeks live in this area, and they were not happy about becoming a part of Albania. There was an international boundary commission set up to determine where the boundary should be, and they drew the boundary down here. So they included a lot of Greeks in Albanian territory, and for a time they resisted. This is where the autonomous Epirus was set up, country that you'll find in your stamp albums that only existed for a few months in 1914. But this is it. It extended from the Adriatic over here, including this area around the lakes. In August of 1914, as you all know, World War I started. And the war developed into a kind of stalemate on the Western Front. We all know about the trench warfare in Europe. In 1916, in order to try to break the stalemate and win the war, the Allies, the British and the French, decided to open a new front. They would open a southern front, landing in Salonika in Greece, and then moving up. Now, at the time they did this in 1916, Austria occupied all this territory, that Serbia, Monastir, and part of Albania. They had driven the Serbian army out. They had conquered the Serbian army and driven it. They escaped across the Albanian mountains and took refuge in Corfu. And only later in the war were they kind of revived and made into an effective fighting force again. But the Allies, with their southern front starting in Salonika, planned to move up and attack the Serbians from, attack the Austrians from the south. And their first objective was Monastir, which is now part of the Republic of North Macedonia, but then it was Serbia. The general in charge of this assault decided that he needed to make sure that the flanking territories where he'd be operating would be protected. The northern Epirus area was occupied by the Greek army at the time. They weren't doing much fighting, but they controlled this territory. And these were Greeks that had been sent from Athens. And they were not in favor of attacking the Central Powers. They were actually friendly toward Germany. You may recall I've explained before that at this time there was a schism in Greece. There were two governments, one favoring the Allies, the British and the French, and the other favoring the Germans. Well, the Athens government was friendly toward Germany. The King Constantine was married to the sister of Kaiser Wilhelm, and he had been trained in German military school, so he was not in favor of attacking Germany. Well, this was a problem for the French general in charge of this southern front. He wanted to be sure that he wasn't going to get into trouble with pro-German elements in this region. So he sent a detachment of French soldiers to control this territory. And the way that they did it is they set up an autonomous republic that would be staffed by Albanians. The Albanians, of course, they were keen on having this territory as part of their country after the war was over. And the French, of course, French soldiers had the guns, so they were in charge, and they displaced the Greeks who had been in charge there and put Albanians in charge and set up this thing called the Republic of Korytsa, which was actually a briefly functioning administrative state. They had customs, they had postage stamps, they had money. But it was all under the protection of the French, and the sole purpose of it was to make sure that this would be safe territory during the military operations when they moved up and attacked the Austrians in Monastir. When the transfer was made from the Greeks to the Albanians, this is the first item they came up with as postage stamp. This is a very obscure stamp, not listed in Scott, and I cannot guarantee that this is genuine. It's an extremely crude little, that's supposed to be an eagle. It looks like a spider. It's supposed to be a double-headed eagle, the Albanian symbol, and it was hand stamped. And really the only way to properly collect this is with certification by somebody who really knows what they're doing, because it's very difficult for anybody else to tell which ones are genuine and which ones are not. I suspect this is not genuine, but at least it shows you what it looks like. Okay, so then when they got around in 1917, they started issuing stamps for this is autonomous Albania, autonomous Korytsa, Albania, autonomous Korytsa. This is a full sheet, as the stamp was printed in Korytsa. And it's very important to have either a full sheet like this or a set that shows all the different positions, the 12 positions in the sheet, because they're all different. Each one has little details. You see this little gap on the upper left here? All of these frames have little breaks or details that enable you to identify the genuine stamps and distinguish them from the many, many forgeries of this issue.
Was that intentional, or that's just a byproduct of the design?
Well, it was, I mean, each individual frame and each individual eagle was separately drawn. So naturally, if you're doing it by hand, drawing things separately, you're going to have little differences. There are tiny differences in the shape of the claws, the wings, and especially the frame lines. Some of the lines are darker, some are lighter, and you can take a given stamp and compare it and find out whether it matches exactly one of these 12 positions. And if it doesn't, then it's not genuine. This is an example of what they call plating. What I've got here is an example, a used example of each stamp from each of the 12 positions. Almost all of these are canceled in Korytsa, but this one is another town, Bilista, or Bilisht in Albanian. In the Republic of Korytsa territory, there were 3 post offices, one in Korytsa, one in Bilista, and the other in Pogradec, as we will see later. Okay, this is the second issue. I don't have a complete sheet of the second issue, but the same frame was used, the same printing of the frame and the eagle, but they changed the inscription. Now it says Republica Korytsa Shkipita. And here's a plating where I have used examples of each of the 12 positions. Now, these are some of the forgeries. These are extremely common. There are undoubtedly many, many more forgeries on the market than genuine stamps. And these, as you can see, they look cleaner and neater than the genuine stamps. But there's a very clear difference in the shape of the head of the eagle that immediately identifies this as the commonest of all types of forgeries, the so-called stumpy beak. And here's an example of a complete sheet. Obviously, whoever made this wasn't aware, if they were trying to get it, to be like the original, they were not aware that they were printed in sheets of 12, not 10. So this is the fake complete sheet, forgeries of this issue. Here's another set of forgeries. This I think of these as, the eagle with a long, thin beak, kind of a flat head, also fairly common. I have a friend who's an Albania specialist who has, I believe, a collection of somewhere around 10 or 12 different types of forgeries. Now, here's another example, a set of forgeries. And this one, not only is it kind of messily produced, but they got the spelling wrong. The Republica is supposed to have a K, but instead they spelled it with a C. The reason for all these forgeries, I believe the basic reason is these were created for what they used to call the packet trade. It was, the existence of this issue was well known to stamp collectors, and they all wanted to have some. And so the forgers got busy and supplied them with tons of examples of, forged stamps that they were able to pass off to unknowing collectors. So here we are back again at Pogradec. As I say, this was one of the 3 post offices. So all the postmarks on the officially issued stamps are either Korytsa or Bilista. There are none known from Pogradec, but we do have this cover mailed while the French were in the process of finally departing. And of course, after that, the Republic of Korytsa came to an end, and the territory was simply integrated back into Albanian territory. This is Pogradec. It's actually quite an attractive place. This is the south shore of the lake. Another view of high Albanian mountains in the distance. I read that this was a favorite place, favorite location for vacations by the famous Albanian dictator Enver Hoxha. And he had the town basically sealed off. Ordinary Albanians were not allowed to visit, at least not while he was there. Another view, Lake Ohrid and the town along the shores. Okay, that's it.